3 kids now grows up without a dad in this country. President Obama is using this weekend's Father's Day celebrations to focus on the importance of fatherhood. The president backs legislation he helped co-sponsor as a senator. It would provide job training, reduce domestic violence, and crack down on deadbeat dads, as well as streamlining child support. Indiana Senator Evan Bayh is the real father of this legislation. He's been reintroducing it every year since he came to the Senate, and will do so again today. He joins us on the White House lawn before joining the president for today's event. Senator Bayh, it's good to have you on. Are you planning
good to be with you, John?
You planning to twist the president's arm today on this at all, or do you expect he doesn't need to have his arm twisted?
Fortunately, John, he does not need to have his arm twisted. On the contrary, he has been a leader since he's been in public life, and that's because, John, he personally knows the pain of what it's like to grow up without a dad in your life. And he's also a great example of how you can overcome that. He had a wonderful mother, he got a great education, he's gone on to become president of the United States, but the chances are just so much better if, in addition to single moms doing their part, fathers do what they can to support their children. So it maximizes the chances that they're going to do well in life. So the president has been out front because he knows personally what it's like.
Well, as we noted earlier, we've got about 1/3 of the babies in this country being born, without a father, or without a father who stays around at any rate. You say that we're on our way to a point where that reaches 50%, which is an absolutely appalling statistic. But what is it in your bill? I mean, what can the federal government do to change that? Isn't that more a matter of personal responsibility and morals?
Well, John, it's already over 50% in our nation's capital. And you're right, you can't pass a law requiring men to be good fathers. But for those who want to be good fathers and need a little help getting there, we should give them that opportunity. And what happens here, John, is very often, particularly with young dads, 16, 17, 18 years old, they bring a child into the world, they had no idea the responsibilities involved, and they just walk away, leaving the child, leaving the mom, leaving the taxpayers to pick up the bill. Then a few years later, let's say in their early 20s, they reconsider, they're more mature, they say, you know what, I want to do right by my child. I don't want to do what maybe my dad did to me. I want to be better than that. And they want to get a good education. They want to get a job. They want to pay to economically support their child and do that emotionally as well. But they got to get some steps to get back on their feet, and that's what we would like to offer them. So you can't mandate this by law, absolutely. But there are men out there who want to do right, and we want to give them an opportunity to do right by their children and the mothers of their children.
We mentioned that you have introduced this bill every year since you've been in the Senate. It hasn't passed. Obviously, there are some great things in it, some great sounding things in it, but there are some concerns, obviously, maybe from the other side of the aisle. One of them is simply states' rights. I mean, you were a governor. Why not leave this kind of a program up to states?
We started a program like this when I was governor of the state of Indiana. And what this would do, John, is to provide assistance to state and local communities to further the programs that exist there. You're right, you can't run this as a central thing out of Washington, D.C. But to the critics, I would say this. There are all these lobbyists and efforts in Washington to encourage us to invest in solving the manifestations of the consequences of fatherlessness. Maybe it's time we dealt with the root core of the problem, so we didn't have to spend $100 billion a year on fighting drug problems among our kids, problems with the law, dropping out of school, all those sorts of things. Maybe we ought to try and keep that from happening in the first place, and that's what this is all about. So it is a state issue, that's where we focus, but the federal taxpayers are picking up the bill for our inaction, so maybe it's time we got off the dime here and actually did something about it.
We mentioned that you're going to be meeting with the president. Is he going to serve you lunch, I hope?
I don't know if lunch is on the menu. There's a cookout later this afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock. That's somewhere between lunch and dinner. I'll let you decide.
All right. Well, happy Father's Day to you. I know you have a couple of boys. Senator Bayh, good to see you.
Thank you, John. Good to be with you.